So did you guys all meet? Did everybody know each other before making this documentary, or how did all of that come to be?
It's Billy's story now.
Hey. All right. So, I knew Sean probably since the early 90s. He had a partner back then, and we worked at the same bar together.
Mm-hmm.
So I've known Sean for about 25 years. I met Steve when I met Sean again a couple of years ago. And Tammy, I've grown up with since I was 13. I went to school with her younger sister, and I've known Craig for some time up in the Sioux. So bringing the two from the Sioux down here to meet Sean and Steve was the big pulling off the team coming together, I guess.
Okay.
Did Tammy and Craig, have you done movies, documentaries before? Produced?
I have worked in television news for about 40 years.
Oh, wow.
So I've done, obviously, interviews and news items and stuff like that. I've never done a full-length documentary. That was kind of a new experience for me.
And I was previously married to a dairy farmer. I grew up in the country.
A what?
A dairy farmer.
A dairy farmer. Wow.
Wife, and I have 5 daughters. I met
5
Craig.
Daughters.
Yes, and I met Craig through another person. He had an internet site at the time that he was working for. And originally it was in radio format, but when they went to TV format, I got pulled from the kitchen of the farm and started interviewing. Craig and I have worked together prior to the documentary for about 15 years.
Stuff like that.
Yeah, so I've been working in media in the Sioux with Craig that many years. And then, of course, knowing Billy and having this incredible opportunity, I was never done a documentary before, but interviewing was part of my job when I was with Craig. And that is absolutely one of my true loves. And to have the opportunity to interview Sean and be involved in this documentary has been the most incredible experience. And learning about Sean's story to this day has really touched me for many reasons, but being a mother and hearing about internet dating and knowing that I have 5 daughters out there and myself, I've been single for 11 years. It haunts me and it makes me worry about my daughters. You know, you don't know. Sean didn't know he was going to meet McArthur.
Of course not.
It's been a really important story to be told. And it's affected me in many ways. And my heart that I have, for Sean and how I feel about him, it will never go away. And I just feel really honored that Sean and I, to interview somebody, especially for a documentary, you have to click and you have to know, Sean has to know he can trust that individual that's interviewing him. So I'm really grateful that he felt that way. And I felt very comfortable with him as well. So it's been a real incredible experience, and my passion for this documentary is far beyond what I can explain, and I'm grateful for it, for Billy asking me and to be involved in such an incredible story.
I can see why you would feel so comfortable with him. He's so kind, and you can just feel it. Like I wish you guys were here so we could be in person. And I've said
the weather's too cold down there.
Not anymore. But so Craig, Billy, keep telling us more about how. So this is how you pulled the team together.
Yeah. So
and then,
I guess the biggest thing was because I had talked with Sean and Steve a couple of times, and we had laid out the parameters of what he wanted the doc to look like. And Sean was very big on the victims must be remembered at all times. That was huge. Mm-hmm. And just certain things, it's changed a lot in the last couple of years. Healing has taken place. Maybe we've stressed him out a few and set him back on other things, but for the most part, it's been forward. And, just certain things about not even saying McArthur's name. He didn't want that at first. And now we can, it's a little less traumatic, I think, after all of this time and putting it together. But making sure the connection was important, was strong and clear and easily you're talking about a lot of really far out stuff, let's be honest. So, you know, I didn't want Tammy coming in. I didn't want that person coming in judging or having preconceived notions. So it was important that I had a person with a really big heart and an open mind and not going to judge anybody and set Sean back because, you know, we were friends for 25 years and how we met, again, that back part of the story. I had watched his interview on TV for about a year and a half. And, you know, I'm a gabber and I'm sitting there, whoever I was with, I'm like, that's the story that should be told. Oh my God, that guy got away. And we were fascinated by Sean's story at the time. And I had my modem screwed up on my internet. So I had unplugged it one day and I was just looking out the window and my TV was a wall mount and I could only hear this voice and I wasn't watching the picture and flapping my gums. So I heard the voice and I thought, oh, that's Sean. And I stepped back right away. And then it hit me like a ton of bricks that was Sean involved with the serial killer. And he was my roommate 25 years ago. And what had happened, I was on the crazier side of life back then. I guess we were all a little younger. And I was running after hours booze cans in Toronto. And they had gone south. It got pretty crazy and pretty big. And I was sleeping on the streets of Toronto for about 3 weeks. And first week was okay. It was early November, but it was getting closer to the end of November. It was getting chilly. And I remember it was Sean and his partner at the time that took me in. And that kind of changed the course of my life because, you know, I could have landed on any couch at that point in time. I was not too particular. I remember it was close to Christmas because I didn't even think I was going to get, you know, indoors, let alone a stocking or anything under the tree. It was just kind of a really cool moment to look back on that. But what had happened is, you know, it kind of got me back on my feet. I left Toronto, went back to Sault Ste. Marie and stayed there for about 6 years for the birth of my niece. And I never got to tell Sean the difference he made, you know. So when this happened, it all of a sudden went from 0 to 100 for me to get a hold of him and tell him what you did for me back then. And that's been a part of his big message. Just don't waste that time because, you know, it took practically him to or a serial killer to prompt me telling him, wow, you took me in off the streets and made a huge difference. And I think now, you know, 25 years later, I've gained some skills and turned my life around to the point where I think I can help you. And that's when I said, we had to get Tammy and Craig on board. And I called them first, seeing if they would commit. And then we got everyone to meet, I think about July 25th, and we started filming July 26th. It was that instant. We had about 4 months to pull off the corporation, get our lawyer, you know, the investor, lock down Cedars. We had to get site licenses. We had interviews. You've seen the doc for Sean's friends, and we had to get all of the NDAs. All of that stuff had to be scheduled, and we did it in less than 4 months. Wow. And that is including 2 websites that Stephen, you know, so the kit that I signed on for kind of was sweeter because I had Tammy, who was an executive producer, Craig, director, Stephen in music. Sean was, you know, our subject, but also a great writer, a kindergarten teacher. Stephen, I found out, was a web designer and had his own IT company. He designed our website for iCogitate and the wasinext.com. He created those faster than it took me to come down from my house to get here, which is about 10 minutes. So, you know, everyone came to the table with a whole bunch of skills. We had a really small crew to pull this off, and we wanted it small because, you know, that's a sensitive story. Yeah. And this is personal information that you don't want to trigger somebody up. So we kept it really tight, really intimate. And everyone came to the table and wore about 3 or 4 different hats. So I lucked out. I had a really easy job.
It's okay.
So
I'm fine.
Yes. There's some hardships that came with this. So we started filming July 26th, and Tammy and Craig came down. I think they were down about 6, 7, 8 times throughout that summer and fall. Cedars, you saw the big part over in Hamilton, but it was about 3/4 of the way through filming. I got a call from Stephen, and he had told me that Sean was in the hospital, and it was instant, like within, you know, going to the grocery store and then coming back, and you were that sick. Like it was fast.
What happened? I saw that. What happened?
I had bacterial pneumonia that went septic.
But were you sick before that? Like.
No, I stayed in bed for 3 days thinking I had the flu. And on the 3rd day, I started to cough up blood and I called an ambulance. And then No one told me I was dying. They kept that from me. But they told Steve that I would not be coming home, most likely.
What?
And to call my family. And I didn't still clue in when all these people that I hadn't seen in a long time were showing up. And then when I was on the one where the ward where everyone's going to palliative care, and I still wasn't. I was like, oh, those people are really sick.
Oh my gosh!
The bacterial pneumonia went septic. It got into his bloodstream, and he went demented. He didn't know who anybody was. He was making no sense at all. I was the only person he recognized consistently, but that wasn't a good thing because I was the one I was siding with the hospital and keeping him there when he wanted to go home. I tried to escape. I was just like, I ended up spending 6 weeks sleeping at that hospital in a chair.
When I saw that, I was like, oh my gosh, what happened to him? I couldn't believe it.
My organs started to shut down at one point. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
They were going to put me in a medically induced coma, but then something inside me said no.
I know. I remember when the first time I had seen Sean, it was about a week because he had gone in and I hadn't taken my meds for my HIV. I was a little compromised at the time, so I didn't want to go down, risk. We didn't know what was wrong with him. So I remember when I crawled up on the bed and, I kind of went like this. And I said, "You got great hospital hair." And he went, "Ugh." and that laughter just hurt. And I thought, okay, I won't make him laugh. And I meant he could barely talk. And Stephen said, I don't know what direction this dog is going to take, Billy. It was that touch and go. And I went right down into his face and I said, you got this or not? Tell me now, no one's around. And he just went, yeah. And it didn't sound like a really good yeah, but I went with his eyes because they locked on me. And I said to Tammy and Greg, they were down here filming. We had Catherine McDonald's interview the next day. The detectives was the day before that. So everything was right in the midst of scheduling, and we had to keep going forward. So it was kind of rough on everybody. And then Craig, 2 days after they went back to the zoo, couldn't, have Sean do it all by himself. He had to join him, and he had heart problems. And, we lost a third of our crew in about 2 days. We were sitting and we didn't know where it was going to happen. Craig was in the hospital.
Oh my gosh.
They had to put stents in, and he was a candidate for open heart surgery. I mean, it was pretty.
Are you okay now, Craig?
Oh, I'm fine now.
Yeah.
Wow, my gosh.
I do not want to be known as the producer that put the crew in the hospital.
No kidding.
So hard. But yeah, it was pretty scary for us for a while. Stephen, held it together on this end, and we were just praying for everybody at that point in time.
So I was wondering, as you were talking about this, was part of doing the documentary, I know some of the things that you had talked about in the beginning, like how you met Bruce. Is that his name, right? The killer person? Yeah. Okay. I just want to make sure. Is it to kind of spread awareness about what, it's not just a normal, average chat room that you're going into? And I only ask this because I have a girlfriend of mine who is very much into that sort of lifestyle, to the point where I was telling her to actually contact Miss Polly about some safety things that I wanted to make sure she was doing, because certain, I understand that lifestyle has its pros and cons to it, and that it's not, like you said, that he was aggressive at first, but that wasn't something to be questioned because of what you were going for.
Think it's just an SM website. You got to be wary of. It's all hookup sites, because the thing with a serial killer is that they're very adept liars, and so they can project an image that they want to. Look at Ted Bundy.
True.
He looked like he was so preppy, and he's no light walk in the park read either.
Yeah.
So it's all websites, but when if anything, I know I ended up in the weeds, but for the most part, and this is a broad swipe of giving a lot of people credit, because there's bad people in every type of lifestyle,
for sure,
or people who don't do the right things. But for the most part, I find kinksters are more educated. They have the rules set out. They know the rules, and they abide by them most times.
Yeah. Well, and I just wanted to make sure she was safe and whatnot, because I understood what she wanted to do, and we had many conversations about it. I just wanted her to be aware. And I think stuff like this does help bring awareness, not only to that choice of whatever kink you're into, but also all of the dating apps and what they are, because that is a real thing, you know, chat rooms and talking. And yes, for young people especially, and every aspect of it, I get that point. But I think that you just have to be so careful. But I think it does help spread awareness in general also.
Definitely, I'm taking this as a catalyst to promote internet safety to everyone. Like with today's technology, there's no reason you can't not screenshot your person you're going to see and send it to someone who you trust.
Yeah.
Because the problem in our Toronto's gay community, I can only speak to my truth, is there's quite a number of people who are judgmental, I will say. And they're uptight.
Not us.
Not us. But what ends up happening is it's the community that builds this unsafe environment for hookups on apps, because no one wants to be that guy who hooked up this number of times. But the fact is that it happens, and if they're not comfortable enough to tell their friend where they're going because they don't want to be slut shamed, then there's something wrong with the way people are thinking.
Well, you said that you were really concerned that the internet could become a platform for anti-gay people to hunt.
Wow.
That was just taking it to another level. Like now that it's sort of these apps, a lot of them were known about, but they flew under the radar. Now I just, like, so many were promoted, not just the 3 I talked to him on, but a whole bunch of other ones and that other people met him on. And now they know where the pool is. If they were to target if they had anti-gay homophobic tendencies and they wanted to be violent or do something nefarious, they now know where they can fish.
Well, it's funny that you say that, because there's a story in the news like yesterday about that exact thing, about somebody finding somebody on a dating app, inviting them over, and then attacking them.
No way.
Oh my goodness.
There was also the Craigslist Killer back when Craigslist existed.
Wow. Yeah, I remember hearing about that. But it happens a lot, more than you would think. I mean, people are getting on Tinder and you meeting, and there was a girl in Dallas that was young, and the guy burned her alive. Like, I mean, in Grapevine, Texas, which is not far from where we are, but I think she met him one time, and everybody said that he was just normal, or nobody saw any signs of that. So it's very scary.
Yeah, it's
I don't think that it has anything to do with the apps and stuff necessarily.
Right.
You meet people, like, you know, you could be mowed down by some serial killer at a church picnic. Like, I mean, it's really not. There was a lot of misunderstanding, I think, out there about Sean meeting up somebody for sex, and that was sort of the reason why he got attacked, right? You know, and I don't think that had anything to do with it. It was, you know. The serial killer looked for gay men, so that's why being a gay man made him. It wasn't him being gay or being sexually active didn't really have anything to do with the fact that he got attacked. Like, right. I mean, you know, if the serial killer was looking for gay men to have sex with, so that's why he got. You know, I mean, it had nothing to do with him or the lifestyle or the choices or anything like that. Right. The people mistake that a lot.
But I can't say that it will pass up the opportunity to help preach about safer choices.
Hashtag tell somebody.
Hashtag tell somebody.
Definitely.
I loved the part of
awareness out about being safe. Sean has talked about this before, and I'm grateful for it. Making sure that there's awareness of what to do when you do go out on a date. And I myself didn't think about some things that Sean mentioned, and I'm trying to teach my children as well. Like he said, you know, take a picture. It doesn't matter if you're straight or gay or who you are. It's like the same rules can be enforced for everybody. Take a picture. Let somebody know. Let them know where the location is. Just be aware of hoping. Be aware of the person that you're with, but making sure you tell somebody. And I'm really proud of Sean for wanting to do that through our documentary and through this type of forum, is to let people know that there are safety ways to be safe when you go out on a date.
Very important. Very, very, very important. The part of the documentary that touched me so much, so many parts did, but the one that I really, really loved was the illumination night at Cedars Park. Is that where that is a gay and lesbian park, correct? And you guys had this. You do. Is that every Saturday night, and then they did a special one for you, correct?
No, honey, that was just for a Labor Day weekend every year. It's an annual event. They have illumination.
Okay.
And it's the Saturday night of the Labor Day weekend.
The Saturday night of the Labor Day. Okay, I misunderstood that.
Every Labor Day is illumination that Saturday.
But it was so beautiful to see that. It started
during the AIDS crisis to remember the people that they had lost to HIV and AIDS over the course of the year previous. So it's a meaningful celebration there. This year it had extra weight to it because of all the serial killing stuff, right? You know, that had gone on and the extra victims, and so Sean went and did a tree planting and you know, spoke a little bit and so that we were allowed to film there for that. So, and that was really, you're right. It's an amazing part of the film. It really touched me a lot.
It touched me, and it was what it said was healing, empathy, understanding, love, and peace, which so important in our life for everyone to have, honestly. And it made me happy to see that was done, because I feel like there still has to be so much healing for you to go through.
Music helped.
What helps?
And the music helped.
The music helped.
The music, yes. The music is so important, you know that. And there were flowers with victims' faces and the biography of each victim, correct?
Beautiful.
Yeah. So
that was one of my cathartic moments
for you,
and I felt like I could let some stuff go.
Mm.
But I have well, I don't want to call it a list, but I have a list of things that I need to do for myself to be at least at the best place I can be, and say that I've done all I can do for the time being to move ahead.
What is that list?
It's personal.
Oh, okay. That's okay.
He's not going to share that.
That's fine.
Like, meeting the roommate was one of them. Like, I wanted to find this man. I couldn't get his name from the police. I had no idea how I was going to find him.
Right.
It was the fact that the documentary put the trailer online on that date that got him to get in touch with him. So again, these little things that had to line up to get the outcome that I was very, very lucky.
Yeah, we said that wasn't a needle in a haystack. That was a needle in a hayfield.
That is so great. Now, how many awards have you guys won? Because I know you have won several, right?
Yeah.
37 or something?
51.
What?
51.
Yeah. Wow.
I know, it's pretty crazy.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yes.
It's been film festivals all over the world. So it's been amazing.
Congratulations.
In India, especially, they've really taken to it. Like, I mean, we've gotten more awards from Indian film festivals than we have from anywhere else.
Huge response from India.
And in India and Turkey were important because two of the victims came, more than two. We've got came from those countries.
Wow.
So we kind of focused it out here to make sure we did it right, and that we didn't offend anybody. You know, even the first run through, we didn't have. That was my oversight. And when I showed it to Sean and Stephen Scott, the investor, they all said, Billy, you got to put their names at the beginning of the documentary for respect. And so, you know, we kind of tried it out. North America, a few other, like Australia, just kind of make sure we had it all right. And then we went into the Middle East and did Istanbul and about 7 or 8 festivals in India. And they have loved it. And we've done some podcasts over there, and we're surprised at how well it's received.
And what is your biggest dream for this documentary?
Biggest dream for the documentary?
Yes.
For Sean, because the doc, of course, from a producer standpoint, like, we're finding out tomorrow if we're nominated at Hong Kong. If we get that nod, you could get a nomination for an Academy Award, which is like the holy grail for a filmmaker, I suppose.
Right.
But on a personal note, it was just to make sure that our friend was totally healed and taken care of. And, many days he would be off. And I mean, even when the day we filmed up at
First day,
Bruce's apartment and outside, on there we're checking, and it was like, "Are you okay?" And I said, "Are you ready for this? These are big moments." And he was fine as soon as we got him out of the vehicle, and he looked up. That was it. It brought it all back, and he made it very clear that we had to leave. Shut filming down at that.
And I wasn't used to the camera in my face yet because it was the first day, and I was like, "No, you don't understand. We have to leave now."
We always made sure that Sean knew that. Like there was one guy. It happened at Cedars, and he was. We had a tree planting ceremony with the interviews that day on that whole Labor Day weekend, and just getting from Toronto over to Hamilton. It was in a 33-foot RV was a bit of a chore, okay, to say the least. So once we got in there and settled, people wanting him to come out and meet. And, I'm very protective. We were all protective of Sean and just making sure, at any point in time, you don't feel comfortable, we pull out, and I will hit the brakes faster than an emergency. So it was, we had people wanting to get at him and talk to him and bring him out. And I just didn't allow it. And he heard me go. He said, "I'm not worried about anything. Billy got it." We watched him and we made sure his heart was in the right place. He was emotionally ready. We had a podcast. It was the last one that we had done. And we had to kind of put it before here. It just was a rough day. And I said, "Are you feeling up for this right now?" And he said, "Sure. I can do it. I could do it." And I said, "I don't hear that in your voice." I said, "Are you totally ready to talk about your encounter with the serial killer?" He said, "Okay, you can cancel it." And he was trying to be nice and not let me,
I also had COVID at the time, so I was not feeling well.
So yeah, we had to, but we put Sean first to make sure that, that was it. That was the whole drive. So I'd sure love a nomination for that on the profession side, but personally, I can't be happier to see what's come out of this.
And for me, it was just I wanted my story heard because I was not getting my day in court, so to speak. I felt very lost after that, and there was no record of my crime. My charges weren't brought forward, and so I just wanted to say, "Hey, I matter."
Oh, you do matter.
You do. Almost definitely.
And you are here for a reason. I mean, you've
survived a lot.
Yes.
Yeah, like those old Timex commercials. They take a lick and keep on ticking.
Keep on ticking. Hello.
Now, I know Billy told me that you guys filmed this during the pandemic with no sound and no lighting during the narratives, correct?
For the narratives, yeah, because we had finished filming about January, February, March. We were just kind of tightening up a few things, getting the trailer out there. And then we had to kind of do the narratives. And Tammy was going to be originally doing them with Brian, a guy that works up with us, and he did our voiceovers for some of the stuff. They were going to do narratives, male and female. We were kind of going to break it down, but they got isolated in the Sioux, which is about 8 hours north of Toronto. Flights were canceled. Everything was shut down. So we were in lockdown. And Craig just said one day, "Billy, you're going to have to do this." And I'm like, "We're coming up." No, I'm on this side of the camera, not that side. So he just said, the story, and kind of played the director's card. And Tammy and all of them kind of pushed. And so it took about 8. I live in a one-room studio about the size of this desk. And so I remember, you take it for granted when everyone's there. I never had to worry about, shadows. It looked like I had a big spider crawling across my face the first time I did my narratives. And so it took about 8 hours to figure out best sound, best lighting. And I had one window, so it was sunlight only. And it was a hot mess. But that went from March, April, May, and we were trying to get it ready for our submission to TIFF. And we were within minutes.
We were down to the wire to get it done, for sure.
Seconds. Yeah, it was pretty tight.
For the music, you called me 36 hours before the deadline and said,
but you guys got it done.
And he delivered. He's amazing. We have such an incredible, talented crew that he delivered when Craig asked, and it was like fast.
So Craig and Tammy, what would you say was the most challenging parts about making this?
The most challenging part for me was not to make the story sensational about Bruce McArthur. We had to respect Sean's desire not to focus on him, which is kind of hard because the whole story kind of starts with Bruce McArthur. And I mean, what affected Sean was Bruce McArthur. So how do you tell a story without bringing that up? And I think we did that. I think what I tried to focus on was the Bruce McArthur story, where kind of he was found guilty, or that's where the story started. And that was another challenge for me, was where do we start the story? Because there's several different angles of where to start the story. So we decided as a group to start it, basically when Bruce McArthur was found guilty, and then we did a little backstory about why he was guilty, and then we shifted it over to Sean's healing story.
Sean's healing story. That's my
So it's
favorite.
very hard for me to not make it sensational because I work in news, and news is all about sensation these days. And we had to kind of tone it down in that regard, but also up Sean's story and make sure that Sean's story was the key story being told.
You guys did an amazing job with
the
that.
emotional
for sure.
hit. I think it's a very emotional documentary, and that's thanks in large part to Craig's direction. I think it worked really well.
Well, and for me, I'm trying, when you ask like most difficult, I didn't look at the project as a difficult one. I looked at it as a journey. And I have to say, I've known Billy since he was 13. And I knew with his leadership, everything that he said would happen. So that takes a lot of stress off anybody that's working under him. We did have, a few issues when we were working on the trailer, and that all got resolved, and that was a bump in the road. But I would say for me, on a personal level, most difficult was listening to Sean and his story and not crying every time I was on set, and, holding back my emotions so we could get through each day. And there was one day where I had to stop a few times because I couldn't stop crying, because to really hear about an actual person sitting in front of you that met Canada's most notorious serial killer, that's a pretty tough thing to sit there.
And he was laying in a hospital bed when we were trying to shoot that. And so that was also.
And so the emotion behind it for the person that went through this, I would say that was probably the most difficult. Work-wise, though, I'm gifted with such wonderful people. That was easy. But Sean will always have a special place in my heart because of his story. And he's just such an amazing individual with a kind, giving heart that I'm really sorry that this happened to him. And that was hard to take, especially as a mother, thinking about my own children going through something like that. It would be horrifying.
I was just going to ask about Sean's mom. How is she doing?
How is she doing?
She's doing great.
I was
almost difficult to get her to be involved in it. She wasn't sure she wanted to, and we had to kind of nice her into it. But in the end, I think she did a great job. Like, her interview was amazing.
It was.
But yeah, I think she just it hurts her to hear the story every time. Like, it's just she doesn't like it an awful lot because it's her son, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it was. I think it was tougher for her than she's let on. She's okay though.
The reason I turned to him is I've been in the throes of the book. I'm up against the deadline. I have like 1 week left, and
so I'm
I couldn't talk to my mother when I was in that mode and switch gears that fast because my mother and I have a history of grinding gears, I guess. And so I just said, can you call her? Because I don't want her not to get her weekly phone call, but I cannot talk to her right now. But so he did. Steve's her favorite son.
That's so sweet. Now, Craig and Tammy, what is the most rewarding? I already know, but tell us what in after the whole thing.
How the documentary's been received around the world has been amazing. As far as I was concerned, I was happy when we did the final edit and I was done my part. I was very happy with the project. All this other stuff is just gravy. It's just been amazing how well received it's gotten.
And rewarding for me, other than some of the awards that are sitting here, is that Sean was able to do some healing through the process of the documentary. And that to me was the best reward I could ever ask for.
And your own cities, like in your own country and in your own cities, how is it there? How do people look at it?
Well, we've kind of kept it kind of low here in the Soo. We haven't really played it up a lot. I mean, people who share our Facebook pages and they see the awards and how proud we are of this project, but we've kind of kept it a lid on it right now because, like I say, we're kind of still in festival mode and stuff like that. We don't have a release date yet, so I mean, once we have the release date set and where people can watch it, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of PR locally. I work in television. I work on a streaming television station here in the Soo, and we pump it out a little bit, and we will when we get a release date.
COVID really changed the way a lot of it was going to be handled at the end, because he just brought me to a place where you healed me, and now it was time to start coming out of my shell and get back into the world. And then I was told by the government I had to stay inside. So it was start and stop.
Yeah.
So, but I think for the most part, people are very. They haven't seen me in so long because I've been in lockdown basically 3 years for that, and then before that I had a different traumatic event happen that I was just getting over when I stumbled into this one. So it's been about 5 years of social isolating, but most of it self-induced. I can't go into the other one because I signed a non-disclosure.
I know you are also a citizen of Ireland. Is that correct?
Yes.
And do you really? I read that sometime you might want to move there. Is that still on the table, or have you changed your mind?
Well, yeah, we were talking about it. It's just because I wanted to do Ireland and he wanted to do his hometown, but both have horrible winter climates. So we kind of want to get. We're kind of. Hopefully it will be successful enough we can get a summer home.
It's warmer. Yeah, maybe we can go down to Texas.
I was just
freezing down there. It's freezing.
Come on down, y'all.
It gets very hot.
It gets so nice and warm. That's why I am here, because Austria was too cold for me. I didn't want to live there anymore. It's so nice here. You need to come visit.
It's beautiful there. I've been to Texas.
I've been to Texas in July.
That
was
it's very hot.
It is very hot. I wanted to give each of you the opportunity to please tell us something that I didn't ask, that we haven't said. I want you to talk about what we have missed, because I want every one of you to get your word in.
Okay, so I think you probably covered it all. How about that, darling? You did it was awesome. This makes it easy for us. But I think outside of this story where Sean, survived the encounter with the serial killer, we're looking at it always differently because it's a personal thing for us. We've been friends for a quarter of a century, so it's going to change the game. I think what I see from the doc and what strikes me as something that stands out is the story he tells about coming out. And when he talks about his dad and that remark that was made, I don't want to give a spoiler alert right now, but y'all know what I'm saying, I think. That punched me right in the face. I'm a gay guy who came out. I didn't speak with my parents for 6 years. It wasn't a very good gig. So the message is on top of, everything else you've gone through, and hearing that side of the struggle makes me understand Sean better for the fighter that he is and the strong soul that I know him to possess. So I see a little more to that. I've known him well, but a few more things got filled in for me, and I see that that's part of his character. So I found that very enlightening and felt a little closer to the whole story after that in New Zealand.
Me?
Let's go with Stephen.
No, I mean, three of the awards were best original score.
Oh, congratulations. That's awesome.
Yeah, no, I mean, I've been a composer for a number of years. And, my mother was right. You don't make any money in music. So it's not like, it's not like I could do that for a living. But it was an opportunity for me to write some stuff that had a lot of feeling to it because of course being involved in the whole process, on more than a professional level. I think it informed the music a lot. So we're going to be doing a soundtrack album and all that stuff too afterwards. So hopefully that'll do well. I mean, I'm just glad he's here.
Yeah.
Yes.
And doing okay.
I think for me, just getting to know Sean and Steve and the rest of the crew in Toronto during this whole process has been very rewarding for me. We've only met like face to face, like Billy said, eight or nine times, but I feel like I know them quite well. Probably because I that's all I saw for 4 months was their face while I was editing it. But I mean, for me, I'm looking at retirement soon, and to work on this project and have it be so successful is just like a crown on my career, and I got to thank Billy for that.
Yeah.
It's been very rewarding working on this for me.
You're gonna make me cry.
I know, it's so sweet.
For me, I have just as he was doing what was in my mind is, for me, there's four letters, and it's LOVE. And you know what? I just want people to know that Sean's a human being, and prior to this, he was a teacher. His students loved him. And there's a little wee something that I hand Sean at the end, and it says love. And I want people to know that everyone deserves love, respect, and kindness. And Sean certainly has taught me through this. I've always known about love, but you can love anybody. It doesn't matter what race they are or nothing. It's all about the person, their heart, and about caring. And so to me, I want, and it's obvious through India and all the awards that we've won, that he's shining now. And there's other people that are caring for him and loving him. And I just want people to know that in life, love is probably the most important thing, in my opinion, to give people that no matter what, and don't have an opinion when you don't know the person and you haven't walked in their shoes. And I absolutely love the whole entire crew. Each one of us just clicked. And I'm really, really grateful for this. But please remember to always think about love and care about one another.
See, she is the nice one.
I love that.
Sean, your turn.
Okay, so I have to bring it back to the 8 men who passed away, because it's for me. Oh God, no, I'm going to use it. I people kept saying you're saved for a purpose, you're saved for a purpose, but I was no more valuable or less valuable than those men. I was just very lucky. It's since I decided not to take that luck for granted and I'm doing something with it. That's where I found the purpose. But those men propelled me to get up every day, because I was given a gift they weren't given, and I had to go on and make a quality decisions with that. That's it.
Marcelo, you have any questions?
Amen, John.
No, I feel like it was amazing. I feel like I asked some of mine, but I love what everybody just said, honestly, at the end of all of it. I thought that was amazing.
Miss Polly, you have any
Marcelo, we're coming down to visit you guys. You know that, eh?
Yeah, I can't wait. Come fast. Hurry.
Please, I wanted to extend this invitation to all of you. We would love to have you here, and we would love to host you and show you around. And
yes.
Have you in our state and get to hug you guys.
Yeah, I know.
We would love that.
Yes, no. Stop, that's for sure. Yeah.
When COVID is over, we really need to plan this. It would be amazing.
No,
I just want to say thank you, and my biggest thing from all of this is to really the awareness of the dating apps and how to be safe. That is, whether you're in the BDSM world or you're just an average Joe on Tinder. And that's so important because the world that we live in now, it's a very different world than it was 30 years ago.
It's a little scary.
Yeah. It's not as safe.
Well, I cannot thank you guys enough. We hope we have done you proud. We're going to, Marcella is the social media, she will try to make clips and all the things that she does so well. So we try to get the story out more and bigger and better than to reach more and more people.
Do you need any music, or you can talk to? I'll let
I will ask probably for sure. I'll need some music. Yes,
we can always use.
I'm going to do my little happy, excited dance because we were thrilled for this podcast. I mean, 2 weeks ago when we had to reschedule with y'all, like we were excited to get.
And we're glad that you were safe.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for coming, like for doing it again.
Yes, thank you, and thank you for understanding.
And we'll do it again anytime you want.
Yes, please, and I hope you get that nomination knot that you want.
Yes,
keep us
we'll
updated.
keep our fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed.
Thank you guys so much.
Awesome.
Now you're part of our family.
Yes, forever.
You're stuck with us.
Yes. Thank you guys so much.
Holly, that's so nice of you to let us stay at your place.
Yeah,
you're welcome. I mean it.
She means it, really.
You're really, really welcome. Please come. I want you to take me up on it when we're allowed to travel again. This is just so crazy.
You can, and anytime you get north of the border, y'all have places.
I love Canada. What did you say, Tammy?
I said 100%.
Yeah.
We will do it. Thank you guys so much. Have a wonderful day.
Take
care.